On this week's Gridiron Report, we have the NBA offseason all but wrapped up. So we finally dive into some Detroit Tigers things. It's all brought to you by Pins and Aces, our favorite spot for all your golf apparel needs. Use promo code GRIT for 21% off at checkout at pinsandaces.com. Let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim. From the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the grit iron report, let the games begin. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire. Grit iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on blast, beats thundering loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The grit iron report where the stories are proud.
Welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions First All Detroit Sports podcast presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, and while I'm sad because the NBA offseason is pretty much over, and I just love the NBA, I love the offseason, I love the transaction, so I'm a little sad, it does give us a little bit of time to spread the discussion, talk about the Tigers a little bit. They've been up and down kind of all season. So while I'm sad, and the NBA offseason could continue a little bit, there's obviously some trades that still could happen, but all the stuff that, or most of the stuff that has come up to this point has been wrapped up. Just a real quick note, I don't believe the Isaiah Stewart trade has actually been announced yet, meaning it could still be in flux and some things being moved around. But finally, we have a chance to talk some Tigers.
Finally, man. I think that the fact that we haven't talked about the Tigers yet is probably just a testament to them being pretty much complete shit this year. But
Yeah.
I mean, so I say complete shit, record wise, 40 and 50 as we record right now on the 7th. It's not been, the season has not been what anyone expected. We wanted to be obviously first place in the Central, competing for titles, and like that hasn't happened. But, we've also had a busy spring with a ton of good Pistons talk. Red Wings collapsing, whatever. So regardless, we're here now. And I think the biggest thing, we have 3 All-Stars on this Tigers team, and they're 3 positional player All-Stars too. I think you mentioned that this is probably first time in I don't even know how many years where we don't have a pitching All-Star. But yeah, Riley Greene, Dillon Dingler, and then our star boy, Kevin McGonigle, the 3 All-Stars. So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom for the Tigers, and I'm pumped to break it down a little bit too. So we can start a bunch of different ways. I thought we could at least give flowers to these 3, like our core guys who are all All-Stars right now, either reserves or starters. I'm not sure if that's been announced yet, but at any rate, let's celebrate these guys.
Yeah, let's break those guys down here for a second, because and like you said, this is the first time in so many years that we haven't had a pitcher represented in the All-Star game. And I think that obviously has to come with an asterisk, right? Like in no world would Tarek Skubal miss the All-Star game. Like he would have been named if he didn't go down with his injury and just missing a few weeks. And even though he came back in like record time, like 100% he would have been in the All-Star game. So like that is just an asterisk. And at the same time, I don't know, like, as you mentioned, the reserves and the starters. All-Star, the MLB does it really weird, and that like fans vote on positions, and you saw like last week or 2 weeks ago, basically I don't know if it was I think it was just all of Canada was just dominating the votes, because you had like 6 or 7 different Blue Jays players that were leading the votes, and these were guys that had like 14 at bats, and they were batting like a 190, 192 or something. Like these guys, they're guys that are not very good at their, they haven't either played that much or they haven't played very well. And so the fans, it's a little bit confusing. So I say all that to say, like, I think there's still a world in which we get Casey Mize in the All-Star game as well. I think Casey Mize, and we'll get to a little like buy sell later. Casey Mize is someone that he's kind of putting it together. Had obviously a little bit of injuries to start the season, but he's putting it really together. So I think Casey Mize deserves to be there in some capacity. Again, I don't know if he's going to be invited as a reserve or if that ship's already sailed and he just didn't make the cut. But the position players, like you said, starting out with Dingler, we've covered him. He's gotten so many Grid of the Weeks. He is a guy, went through the college route, so he ended up, he technically was a rookie 2 years ago, I think, but he was like a 26-year-old rookie. So you look at Kevin McGonigle, who's 21 years old, a little bit different of a rookie than a 27-year-old rookie in Dillon Dingler, but he's been fantastic. We can get to Riley in a second. Dingler is, and Carey too, in some regards. Dingler has to be one of the most feared hitters in this lineup.
Dude, he might be our best player. He's so incredible, man. I mean, Tarek Skubal aside, like slashing 267, 329, 528. 19 homers. His best before that was I think 13 last year. So I mean, he's already just so much more pop than last year. 59 RBIs. Advanced stats look even better. Like he's just he does so well like at the plate. And for a catcher, that's like, that's so rare. That's such a gem. And to also be just stellar behind the plate too. Like his defense
Yeah.
is so awesome. His arm, he's just a brick wall. He can literally do it all. I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago that he's blossoming right in front of our eyes, to be like, maybe the best catcher in the league. And I thought at the time, I said it, he's probably not the best, but shit, he has to be like top, at least this year, a top 3 catcher. I know he's not the starter because, yeah, like you said, fan votes. I think I don't even know who it was voted ahead of him, but at any rate, like he's certainly the best catcher in the AL. He should be starting. He's got a 4.0 WAR. For a guy his age, a Gold Glover who can also just do so much behind the plate. I mean, this guy is just he's so insane, man. He's right in his prime. We'll talk about in this next segment, a buy, sell. This guy is not, spoiler alert, he's not even going to come up. There's no way in hell that the Tigers would ever let this guy go. I mean, he's such a diamond in the rough. Like, the Tigers did everything right, kind of moving him along slowly in the minors. He's finally ready like 3 years ago, and he's just done nothing but hit for average, hit for power, and just be incredible behind the plate. So yeah, shout out the Dingler, the Dillinger, the Ding man, just doing it, man.
And it's such a rarity that you get. That's why when players like him do come along, and not saying that they're on the same level, but like when offensive catchers come along, like Cal Raleigh last year, he's obviously having a horrendous year this year, but Cal Raleigh last year, Buster Posey, like these guys who are just elite offensive catchers, that just adds another element that 98% of other teams don't have. 98% of other teams have catchers that are only defensive minded, and you just take that because if they're really good at defense, you don't care about you just want them out there for that. And then also being able to catch a pitcher and have the trust of a pitcher. You look at Dingler. I mean, we always had. Granted, we've always been a little bit blessed. Like I think Raj catches a great game too, and I think he's a great defender. But he was the quintessential no offense. Dingler has the trust of Tarek Skubal. He's got multiple, at least one no hitter from him. Like he has the offense, he has the defense. I believe he was a center fielder in college, so he has like that ability to go out and play center field. If we had to move him around, God forbid, like we could, and that helps him out in the field, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where he goes. I don't know. He's at 3.1 WAR right now. I think, like I said, I think it was Alejandro Kirk from the Blue Jays who was starting at catcher last I saw. But again, he had only played like 17 games this season, and so it was just fans voting him in, which was weird. But yeah, I mean, if you know baseball, you know that Dillon Dingler is a top 3 catcher in the league, and he ain't 3. The everyone else argue that, but.
Hell yeah, dude! Shout out to the Dingler, man. So yeah, he's one of 3 All-Star selections. Other one, I mean, you mentioned him already, dude. Riley Greene, 3rd consecutive All-Star appearance for the Tigers. Like, I feel like he's validating my choice a little bit from like when we did. I think it was the Mount Rushmore of Detroit athletes, and I mistakenly chose Riley Greene over Tarek Skubal. I still think that was an absolute, just insane miss by me. But especially, we talk about Skubal, if he does leave the Tigers and Riley Greene keeps this up, I don't know, man. Maybe I was actually onto something picking Riley Greene over him. But I digress there. Slash line, just a freakishly good slash line as well. 284, 373, 453. So yeah, he's hitting for average, which has been a struggle for him. He was always in years past swing for the fences guy, and he's going to hit his bombs, but he's also going to strike out just a hilarious amount. Last year he struck out so much, it was insane. I just think he's taken such a better approach at the plate this year, and I mean, he's still going to strike out, but it's the majors. Everyone is. Just having those strikeouts down from where they were last year it's such a huge improvement for me. So yeah, 3rd consecutive All-Star, 2024 through 26. The first 3 straight All-Star since Miguel Cabrera, and the first 3 straight outfielder All-Star since Hall of Famer Al Kaline. Ever heard of him? So yeah, Riley he's doing it all, man. It just feels so good to hit on a high draft pick, especially when you got, guys like Spencer Torkelson who've been very much up and down in their career. Like to have a guy like Riley Greene, you draft him pretty high, and yeah, he makes 3 consecutive All-Stars. So just it feels like our front office is definitely validated with that pick. I think he's probably still an Al Avila pick, right? So yeah, shout out Al for that one. But huge, man.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth about being a Vila pick. Yeah, so Riley's a really interesting case because since day one, having watched both of them get drafted in the minors, I was always confident that Riley was going to be better than Torque, even though Torque went on 1-1. And even coming out of college, like we're not going to talk about Torque here because, well, maybe we will in the second segment, but like he's obviously not an all-star. Torque was 1-1. He was considered generational at the time. He broke Barry Bonds' home run record at Arizona State in college. So like he was generational 1-1, and we weren't going out on a limb taking him. Every single other front office was going to take Torque 1-1. But then watching them in the minors, like I'm like, yeah, Riley Greene has much more of the stuff than Torkelson, and he's had a really interesting career. I'm just looking back to in his 23 season, his 2024, but he was 23. He had a 5.3 WAR, which is just crazy to have that much. And then obviously you mentioned it last year. We saw the home runs jump up. He went from 24 home runs to 36. But with that, we saw the 201 strikeouts, which is just absolutely absurd. So I feel like at the same time as those strikeouts, you also saw like his speed. I mean, it's almost been a joke at this point. His speed is horrendous. Like he is one of the slowest guys out there, and he looks like he's always getting hurt. He looks very fragile. I think his defense really slid last year, and so this year was a huge year for him to come back and be like, okay, I know I can hit 36 home runs like I did last year. I know I can have a 5.3 WAR like I did 2 years ago. Just kind of got to balance that out a little bit, and I think he's done a great job doing that. He's still so right now he has 13 home runs on the year. So we're about halfway through the season. So looks like he would fall short of his home run personal best with the 34.6 last year. It'd be his second best, but his strikeouts are kind of right there, which is like I feel like in real time his strikeouts have been better, but his numbers say he has 101 strikeouts right now, as opposed to the 201 last year, and we're about halfway through the season, so like he's right on pace to hit that strikeout number. But his defense looks a lot better, right?
I swear he was the eye test tells me otherwise. But yeah, 100. I did not know he was that 100 strikeout. I feel kind of like an asshole for even bringing that up now. But yeah, dude. At any rate, I mean, his defense is. I feel like you're exactly right. Like his defense when he came to the league was good, and he kind of like regressed. And now I don't know. I feel like this might be just eye test too. But like he's making plays in the outfield again, like maybe he wasn't doing the last couple of years. So he's certainly not perfect in the field. But yeah, I mean his batting more than makes up for it. I think he's at about 2 FWAR right now, which similar to where he was last year. I think maybe last year he was outpacing a little bit. So he's just having, I mean, another really solid season. It's nothing like, it's not like, Miguel Cabrera prime type season, but it's still really, really good. And that's everything that you draft a guy. I think, what did he go? Like top 5, top 6? Like this is exactly what you wanted him to be. And he's exactly what he is. So yeah, I'm all in, and his durability has been good too. I think he's only missed 1 game this season. He's heating up at the right time, and he had a slow June. Like half the team had a slow June, maybe more. But yeah, just absolutely breaking out in July. Home run on July 4th. I think he almost hit for the cycle like 2 days ago. Like he's just been.
The only reason he didn't was because they intentionally walked him. So yeah, he had that cycle. And also, if you watch that game, he had an insane catch in the outfield, a diving sideways catch in the outfield. So that was a good representation of how he's been this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I should say slow May. His June was insane. His July is even better. So yeah, whatever slow start he had, he's absolutely breaking out right now. Shout out Riley, 3-time All-Star, 3 in a row, I should say. And then probably the best for last. Didn't mean to necessarily bury this lead, but yeah, K-Man, Kevin McGonigle, our rookie sensation. First All-Star, obviously, first season in the big, slashing 282. 283, 393, 814 OPS. He's been awesome, man. He's certainly hitting for average, but he has so much pop, man. These line drives that he hits, it's insane. Obviously, the home runs aren't jumping off the page. Just 7 in his career so far, but 91 hits, 54 runs, 31 RBIs. I think those 54 runs do lead all Tigers. Makes sense. He's a leadoff guy, and he's hitting for average. But at any rate, dude. There's so many things that he does well, and as a rookie, it's actually insane how he does so many things well. But probably for me, this is a hard one that we've had guys like Torque and Riley Greene like really struggle. Even like, they're like 4 or 5 years into their career, but it's plate discipline. And McGonigle does it better than most guys in the league. Like not even better than most rookies or most young players. Like literally better than most players in the MLB. He has more walks than strikeouts. 51 games where he has been on base or multi on base. So it's insane, man. The guy just gets on base, like quoting Moneyball. Like he absolutely gets on base. Versatile, can play shortstop, can play third, can do a little bit of everything. His defense is totally fine. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's like just stellar, but he's very good. He makes plays when he needs to. K-Man just does everything right, and we'll talk about later, like rookie of the year, things like that. But the first check is all-star, and he's already a one-time all-star, not even halfway through his first season. So yeah, it's insane.
It's really cool. The All-Star game is in Philadelphia, and he's born and raised in Philly, so he's going back home. First year in the big leagues, going to be an All-Star. He's the youngest player to be named an All-Star this year, so that's nice that Detroit hit on someone like that. You mentioned his multi hit games. To go even further than that, so he has reached base 3+ times in a game, meaning he has 3+ hits 19 times this season. 19 different games he has 3+ hits.
Wow.
That's 22% of his overall career games. He has had 3+ hits. Like that is, and that's what he was always,
right? Yeah.
Yes. He was always lauded for his discipline at the plate, like you mentioned. Like he has the discipline of like a 35-year-old Ichiro. Like he is so smart, and I think there was a small time there was a question about his defense. Like you said, he's not lighting the world on fire, but he's definitely not the worst defender on this team. And then the other thing was like the home run. The home run, usually guys that similar to catchers with Dingler, that like usually a catcher is defensive minded, struggles on the offensive side. Dingler he bucks that trend. He's good on both sides. For a guy like McGonigle, usually when you have averages and on base percentages like he does, the thing you usually sacrifice is home runs, is raw power. As he was coming up through the minors, that was kind of, people were saying like he has such good discipline and such a clean swing that like the power likely will come around. And he's not lighting the world, again, just like Steven, not lighting the world on fire. He only has 7 home runs. But if we're halfway through the season and you say, okay, Kevin McGonigle is going to finish the year hitting 291 and 20 home runs, like I think that would be, everyone, as a rookie, everyone would take that 10 times out of 10. So he's probably the best rookie we've had. Maybe, I don't even want to say Michael Fulmer, because I think he's better than Michael Fulmer, even though I think Michael ended up winning Rookie of the Year. But McGonigle, I'm happy for the kid. We can get to like incentives here in a second, but the fact that he was named to an All-Star team, it just proves that we brought him up to start the season. It was a good choice, because we can get to the implications of that later. But proud of the kid, happy for him. Hopefully he just continues to be himself. That's why I don't think he's not like on some random heater streak where he's crushing balls left and right, and it's like this is how he plays ball. Like he's just good discipline. It's not like he can't really like lose that, I feel like. So it's something that can probably keep him afloat for quite some time.
Dude, it's awesome, man. And yeah, you talk about like Tigers rookies and how they've done historically. McGonigle is the first Tigers rookie all-star since Matt Noakes in 1987. Yeah, only the third Tiger ever to be named an all-star, 21 years or younger, joining Mark the Bird Fidrich and El Callen, who I already mentioned. And that's 125 years of Tigers history. He's only the third. So yeah, really awesome. Rookies have been sensational this year. I think there are 4 rookies that have been named to all-star teams. So don't know how that compares to previous years. I feel like 4 rookies does seem like quite a bit, but yeah, McGonigle just on an absolute tear. And like you said, he's the youngest rookie to be named to the all-star team, at least this year, at age just 21. So, I mean, just an absolute kid, hometown kid, like you mentioned, born and raised in one of the Philly suburbs. So to go home, I'm sure he grew up going to a ton of Phillies games. So I can only imagine how special that's going to be. It's going to be a good storyline that I'm sure the MLB beat writers and reporters are just going to take it and run with it. But yeah, man, just K-Dog, just doing his thing, still only 21 years old. So again, we're going to get into probably really soon, buy or sell, and just knowing that you have a guy like Kevin McGonigle that, like, regardless of if you sell other guys, your core of McGonigle and Dingler and Riley Greene, others too on that list too that we can probably name. But yeah, you have that core. So like I think that helps me sleep well at night, knowing that even if this season was shit, even if a guy like Derek Skubal, you can't get a deal with him, yes, that does suck, but we still have a really young core, and the future's still pretty bright for this team.
Yeah. So do you want to go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we can jump into the buy or sell that we have set up?
Let's do it.
Beautiful.
All right, we are back. Tyler and I want this segment to be, a little bit more interactive. This is actually one where I'm hosting. Usually Tyler's the mastermind behind all of our fun interactive games. This one's coming from me, so if it sucks, hand up. That's on me. I'm trying my best here. Just working with what I got in my dumb brain. But yeah, this segment, it's all about buy or sell. That's the theme. And at the end of it, don't want to spoil anything, but we are going to talk about our thoughts on if the Tigers should be buyers or sellers at the deadline. But Tyler, I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to ask if you're buying or selling these questions. First one up, if you're ready for it, let's just jump right into it. Tyler, buy or sell? The Tigers are a good team. They just have a bad record.
Yeah, that's a great question to start on because I guess almost I want to say sell on it just because I think while I think the principle is correct and that we are a good team, bad record, I think there are some numbers that like just because we have a bad record isn't the only downfall of this team. I'm gonna end up saying I'm gonna buy it, I think, because I think we are a good team. I truly think this team is so unique in that the starting pitching has gone through insane injuries throughout the year, but the starting pitching hasn't really been an issue. It's really been the bullpen. I'm sure I don't have the stat in front of me. I'm sure we lead the MLB in wins blown at beyond the sixth or seventh inning. But then you look at the bullpen ERA I think their bullpen ERA is like 15th in the league. Like it's not the worst in the league, but yet we still are blowing all these leads, and so maybe it's not all on them that we're only kind of giving them 1-run leads, and then we blow it because we can't get any more runs, and we didn't get any before them, and so it's not really their fault. So I think all that to say, I'm gonna say yeah, I'm gonna buy that. I think the Tigers are a good team with a bad record, with a few other things that I think are bad in there. That's not just a bad record, but I'm gonna say good team, bad record. Buy it.
Yep, and I'm with you there. I mean, 3 All-Stars, which that's nothing to, it's nothing to scoff at.
Would be 4 if you had a healthy Skubal all year.
And would definitely be 4 with Skubal. Dillon Dingler, 4.0 WAR. McGonigle, 4.4 WAR. Riley Greene just absolutely tearing it up. I think for me, I'm totally with you. I'm buying that they are. I might not say a good team. I'm going to say at least a pretty good team with a very bad record. At least that's where I am right now. But okay, next one. Probably a little bit easier one, maybe a little bit more fun one. We just talked about K-Dog, Kevin McGonigle. Buy or sell, Tyler? Kevin McGonigle is the AL Rookie of the Year at the end of the season.
There's only one world in which Kevin McGonigle doesn't win AL Rookie of the Year, and that's barring like any unforeseen injuries or whatever to him. That's if Murakami, I believe is how you say his name, with the White Sox. He is basically doing, I mean, he's kind of doing like a Riley Greene from last year, but to a better extent. He's just mashing home runs, and he went down with some injuries. If he comes back and just like goes on and continues an absolute tear and puts up like 50 home runs or something, I don't have his numbers in front of me, but Murakami, if he puts up 50 home runs, he's like the only guy in the AL that would rival and give McGonigle a little bit of a run for his money. I'm absolutely going to buy that because I don't, even if he does that, then it kind of becomes like, okay, how much is a home run worth? Again, going back to like Riley last season, like was all these career high home runs worth all the strikeouts and the lack of defense? So it kind of gets into a conversation of like overall best player versus just, home runs. And I think the baseball heads will kind of lean towards the overall rounded all-star Rookie of the Year. So I'm absolutely buying that. And like I said before, that just goes to show, like when we talked before the season started, whether they're going to bring up Kevin McGonigle or not. The reason that they didn't want to bring him up because they would have obviously used a year of service time on him. The reason they wanted to bring him up was that if he either A, won Rookie of the Year, or B, came in the top 3 of MVP voting in the next, I think it's 3 years. So like, and if we did that, then obviously we would have burned his year of service time, but we get an extra compensatory pick. So he's just, I mean, I'm so happy that like they finally, Detroit kind of went out on a limb a little bit and brought him up here. Like that's what all the fans wanted to. It's like every trade deadline, we're like, please, like go for it. Like let's try this. Why not? And the front office, I feel like never does it. So to see the front office go out on a limb, bring Kevin up to start the season, and then have it as up to this point be basically playing out perfectly is a very, very nice feeling that we don't get to have a lot.
I'm with you, man. Just couldn't be better. McGonigle, 4.4 WAR, which is third best among position players in the AL. So not just among rookies, like he's literally third best among all position players. So I think it's a very damning stat. Yeah, we broke it down. More walks than strikeouts, 51 multi on base games. Only four other rookies that are named All Stars, and yeah, we think he's the best among them. So I'm totally with you. Bye there, dude. Moving straight along. Probably the hardest one, Tyler, buy or sell. Tarek Skubal will be wearing the Old English D after the trade deadline.
Okay, so this is interesting because the way you phrase that, Tarik Skubal will be wearing, not whether I think he should be wearing, but whether he will be wearing. And
you can answer it both. You can, however you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give because at the very end, like you said, we'll kind of just give our overall thoughts on buy or sell in the broader sense. So I'll give my answer on should when we get to toward the end there. Will he? I think he will. I think Tarik Skubal will be wearing at the end of the season. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the good, because like you already mentioned it, we had a really, historically bad May, and then June as a team, we all picked everything up. Like we said, we just for some reason are not able to close games. Whether it is all on the bullpen, even though they only have a 14th worst or 14th best, however you want to say, basically a middle of the pack bullpen ERA, which isn't terrible. But somehow we're still losing all these games, whether it's the offense not giving them quite enough support or they actually are blowing these games. Like, because we had this good, I think in June we hit the most home runs in a month in Tigers history. So like, because we had this resurgence, I think the Tigers, no matter where we're at, as long as we're not like 9.5 games out of the last wild card, like as long as we're within 5-6 games of a wild card, I think he stays here. Yeah, I think Tarik finishes the year here in Detroit.
Yeah, and I should have probably set the scene even before this segment starts. That as we sit right now, early July, the trade deadline is not until August 3rd. That's 27 days away. Obviously, we're going to have the All-Star break, so it's not like we're playing 27 games before that. But yeah, there is still quite a bit of time before the trade deadline. Yeah, the team currently sits 40 and 50. I think I mentioned already. But to your point, playing a lot better in June. So you never know what's going to happen. If we are within a couple days, let's say we rip off another like just insane 2 or 3 weeks, and we're only like 3 games out of the White Sox or whatever that is. I think maybe our answers are going to change a little bit. But as we sit right now, I'm probably going to say he should be dealt. But again, I don't know if we're going to do it or not. So it is to be seen. I am with you there. Cool.
So are you buying or selling? Are you buying or selling that he will be?
I am. I'm selling that he will be. I feel like he's just too much value that we could unlock if we did deal him at the deadline. I mean, he's probably I don't know looking back in previous trade deadlines, but this has to be like the most coveted pitcher on an expiring contract in X amount of years. So I think that there's probably a scenario where you can deal him and still be probably within 3 or 4 games of the White Sox, and you never know what's going to happen. You could still compete, but I just think that there's just too much value on the table, and you got to sell him. So I'm selling there. I think he will not be wearing the English D.
Yeah, and we'll get to more of my thoughts on like whether we should or shouldn't as we like wrap up here. But all right, so buying and selling on that one. Interesting.
All right, next one, man. Kind of more of a quirky one, sticking in the AL Central, but not necessarily the Tigers. Buy or sell, the White Sox winning the AL Central is the weirdest story in baseball.
Yes. So this is really interesting because the White Sox have, because everyone's been talking about Kevin McGonigle making the All-Star game. Obviously the article I was reading was like superlative, or guys, end of season awards, who's the front runners for them. The White Sox have, I believe, don't check me on this, I think they have 4 guys that are technically in the running for Rookie of the Year, and that is crazy. Like I've never seen such a young team out of nowhere come up and then absolutely, dominate. And I think it is. Do I think they're actually going to hold on to it? I don't. I think it's the White Sox. I think at the end of the day, the Guardians, or, I don't know where the Twins are at right now. The Twins, let's see, the Twins are at 44 and 47. The White Sox lead the division with 47 and 42. I think it is the weirdest storyline of the AL Central this year. I don't think they're going to continue it. I think look back to this time last year, the Tigers were not we had more of a lead and we were a better team, but the Tigers were in first place, and then they absolutely collapsed after the All-Star break, and they're much worse. The White Sox are a much worse team than the Tigers were last year. So I think it is the weirdest story. I'm if you're a White Sox fan, you've probably gone through a lot of shit recently with how bad your franchise has been, your owner's terrible, stuff like that. But to hit and have that many young guys contributing, it definitely, I'm buying. That is the weirdest story in the AL Central this year.
Absolutely buying, man. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, this is a team that everything that you just mentioned, obviously. Also, just look back just a year and a half ago, the 2024 season, 121 losses for the White Sox, and now they are, sitting at first place in the AL Central in July 2026. So yeah, crazy, crazy turnaround, awesome turnaround. But certainly weird, man. So I'm totally with you. All right, two more. We're gonna start with probably an easy one and then a harder one. Buy or sell, Tyler. Dillon Dingler finishes the season as the best catcher in baseball. Can he get it done? Can he keep this going?
Interesting. I think. Let me pull up the catcher war right now, the catcher's wars right now, because I don't know. Shane Langelier with the Oakland Athletics, he has had a very good season as well.
Yeah, and I just pulled up his numbers too. It looks like Baseball Reference has him at a 3 WAR as we sit here just in July. So yeah, just a monster season, and I think it is Langelier that is. I think he was voted ahead of Dillon Dingler as far as like starting in the All-Star game, and probably what I would say just looking at is his stats are very good.
So that would be the only, I mean, whichever one of them is going to come out of the All-Star break and not have missed a beat will be the one that ends up leading the division. And, for catchers there, I mean, look at Shea, 20 home runs, Dingler, we said 19. So like they're both very good, very similar. I'm gonna sell a little bit on Dingler finishing the season as the best catcher in the league, just because of the uncertainty of how this team is going to look come trade deadline, and I think that could throw some wrenches in plans for how his season ends up being. He's gonna have less people around him that he can hit around, and people are gonna be able to attack him more. So I'm gonna sell, but I think he's gonna end up still being, even if we do sell, which we'll get to here in a minute, he'll still finish as a top 3 catcher in the league.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just feel like the A's, to your point, just have more to play for right now. You never know how that's going to work. And then just with catchers, it's such a physically demanding position, right? Like easily the most in baseball. You never know if one or both those guys might fall off. So yeah, that's a tough one. But at any rate, Dillon Dingler, just an exceptional start to this season, all-star. Okay, 2 more. We obviously know. Sorry, I said 2 more last time. I promise this time 2 more. But the last one, they're really. They go hand in hand. So I guess the first one, buy or sell. If the Tigers are sellers at the deadline and they do sell Skubal, are you buying or selling that this will be the biggest haul in the team's history?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about this, and I didn't know these questions before, but I was just thinking about this before, and just to get an idea of like what this would maybe be comparable. It's funny you asked this because I just earlier today put it into Claude, just saying like what other pitchers would Skubal in the package that he theoretically would stand up against. So they said historically we're looking at David Price in 2015 when we traded him to the Blue Jays. Obviously that got us Daniel Norris, Matt Boyd, Lero Labort. No, I don't think he ever did anything for us. And I think Michael Fulmer as well came back in that deal. Matt Boyd, obviously, he's had a long career. Daniel Norris had a little bit of up and down career. I think he maybe had cancer or something. And then Michael Fulmer was the Rookie of the Year, so that was obviously important. And then the other ones, they had Max Scherzer going from the Nationals to the Dodgers, but that was a larger package that was traded. He was traded alongside Trey Turner, so that was a harder to. It wasn't just a 1 for 5 or whatever. It was like a 2 for 6. Max Scherzer in 2023 from the Mets to the Rangers, which was more of a salary dump. So that was kind of there. Those were like the 3 that Claude and ChatGPT kind of put up against. But either way, yeah, I do think I want to say I want to have enough hope in our front office that this will be a historic haul. I think it'll be a minimum 3 to 4 top 100 prospects, and in best case scenario you get maybe 2 top 100 and 2 all everyday young guys like I'm not going to say a McGonigle because no one's dealing out those guys, but like a Colt Keith or a guy that like has a lot of potential. Yeah, I'm going to buy. This is going to be and I hope this is going to be a historical return if they end up pulling that trigger.
Yeah, so you're buying on this, meaning that the Tigers are obviously selling. Yeah, that's it's a tough one, man. When you talk about like 3 or 4 top 100 prospects, there's quite a few teams in baseball that don't even have that good of a prospect base, right? Like you have five guys. You're talking about probably a top 10, certainly like top half of the league in terms of your prospects. So I'm wondering if a team like the Rays who wants to go all in, just as an example, like do they even have the ammo in their farm system to even offer that much? But at any rate, we will see. There are other things at play, obviously, like potential lockout after this season. We don't know. I don't know how that's going to potentially affect Tarek's price, but at any rate, we will certainly see. So again, I preface this at the beginning. All of these questions are kind of leading up to, what do the Tigers do at this deadline? And again, I did say, there are 27 days between now and the MLB deadline. So yeah, plenty of time to, the Tigers to make a run, and maybe, all of what we're saying is null and void now. But as we sit right now, right before the All-Star game, Tyler, buy or sell the finale? Will the Tigers be buyers, or will they be sellers at the trade deadline? Or will they stay put? Will they literally say, we're not doing shit? Which, could obviously happen as well.
I'm going to give this in two different answers. What I want us to do and what they will do. Because history tells us one thing, and I think I have a mindset of a different thing that I think is kind of best case scenario. And it will, like you said, it will 100% depend on how the next 3 weeks comes and goes after the All-Star break. As I already mentioned, we historically have not come out of the All-Star break very hot. Usually it slows us down tremendously. Last year, we weren't not able to recover. We barely made the playoffs. And then obviously we made it further in the playoffs, but that was due to getting hot a little bit at the end of the year. But like they collapsed after last year's All-Star game that pretty much led into this past season was historic. So I think a lot will be decided. I think this answer might be made for us. But what I think the team will do, based on where we live, how many times have we come onto this show and been like, all right, it's time to buy, or it's time to we gotta sell, we gotta do something, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're working the call, we're working the phones. Like you hear all these reports about so and so, the Tigers are tied and connected to so and so, and the Pistons have been in talks with so and so about so and so, and then nothing ends up happening. So I think I don't think we do anything. I think we stay put and we say like we're pretty good, or maybe we get better on the margins like we kind of did last year, even though that was such a public flounder. Like it was so publicly bad. I think we kind of do more of the same, because I think that's who Scott Harris is. And like, he doesn't have the confidence to go out and take an absolute swing like that. So I think the team will do pretty much nothing. I think they're going to think they're kind of in it with the team we have. And I think they're not going to want to trade Tarek because of that. And I think they're not going to want to give up any real prospects because of that. And I think it's going to burn us in the ass. And do we end up making the playoffs, missing the playoffs? I don't really know. But I think we won't do really anything. Now, before I get to what we should do, what do you think we will do?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to sell, but maybe not quite to the extent that we think. Yes, I mean, Skubal is the name that everyone is talking about. Obviously, I would hate to go down the road of we have our guys, we keep playing the season out, miss the playoffs, and then Skubal walks and we literally get nothing for him. So I think we're obviously going to try to move Skubal. I think the asking price, it might be too much, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if like you have a guy like, a Jack Flaherty, even like a Kenley Jansen who's been, very up and down. Potentially even a guy like Casey Mize who, you're looking at the current window of the team. If you are looking to sell Skubal, you might want to cash in on a Mize too, just because he has been so good for the past basically 2 years. There's been a few injuries, but him basically coming off that stretch of insanely bad injuries, 2-3 years ago, he's been very good. So I think the team's going to try to cash in and still look to build around the core, like I mentioned. Your three all-stars, the darlings, obviously. You're building around those guys. Yeah, you're building around guys like Colt Keith, young pitchers like Troy Melton, they just look like they're going to be bona fide starters for years and years to come. I think this team wants to build around them, and I think it's probably time to take a flyer on a year like 2026 where you just didn't have it. You're beating teams that are quote unquote a lot better than you, then you're losing to a bunch of the shit teams around the MLB. You find yourself 10 games under 500. I do think that they're going to be sellers. I am a seller if I'm the Tigers.
So okay, so that's what you think we will do, and it sounds like that's what you think we should do as well. That's kind of a 2-1. You think they're going to do the right thing and do a sell?
Yeah, I think they're at least going to try.
Okay, so I give mine. I think they will pretty much do nothing, which is a little bit of a pessimistic view of it. But again, we live in Detroit. Every single trade deadline, every single time we want them to take a stand, they don't. So it's kind of been burned into my brain. What I think we should do, I think I'm gonna go. We need to sell, but I'm gonna stop at just Tarek. I just sell
Hmm.
Tarek. I think that because I think. Let me get to a second point here in a second, but Tarek Skubal, I don't think wants to be here. More maybe he wants to, but I don't think he wants to accept the money that we have here. I think, and I think pretty much everyone in the MLB is under the same impression that he's going to go get the money elsewhere. Like I think most people think he will not be here next year, and I think you are still good enough of a team. I mean, we saw the turnaround kind of started when Tarek went down and we started getting winning some games, and I think we have enough young pitchers like you mentioned, like with Trey Melton. Jackson Jobe was just throwing off a mound, coming back from his Tommy John a few years ago. So like we have these good young pitchers that I think we can get by. No one thinks we're going to win the World Series at this point. Like I know that I think that was your prediction that we were at least going to make the World Series or maybe even win it. No
I
one, I
did
think
I
at this
did say
point.
we were going to lose it, I think. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't think anyone is coming on here saying like they think this team can win the World Series. But I think they're good enough where like they can make the playoffs and win a round. I think they can do that without Tarek Skubal. So I think you kind of get the best of both worlds. You don't lose him. I think you still can make the playoffs without him and having good like I said, Keder Montero's been fantastic. Like the starting rotation has been really good this year. And so I think you can trade him, still put together that historical package just to continue to build this team and and still try and make a push. And like you said, then we kind of acknowledge that yeah, we probably aren't winning it this year. We can look to next year, maybe talk about the lockout, whatever that might be. But I think you sell on Tarek, and I think you keep everyone else. Now, if there's someone calls about Drew Anderson, or someone that just blows you away, like yeah, obviously you can sell him too. But I think Tarek's really the only one that I truly want us to sell. Now, I will say though, you mentioned Casey Mize. I mean I agree. Casey Mize has slowly, quietly been fantastic for this team. As long as he stays healthy, he's been really good. I think you have to have a real conversation with them because I don't think Casey in the front office gets along very well. This is the same front office that demanded and went to arbitration over, I think, $12,000 with Casey Mize. Like they were talking about like hundreds of $1 million contract, and this front office wouldn't budge in $12,000. And you can't tell me that doesn't have a little bit of bad blood. That like, are you serious? You're gonna make us go through the arbitration process over 12 grand? And so I think you have to have a real conversation that like, does Casey want to be here a long time? I think you lose if you do trade him as well. That definitely hurts. Being able to keep it afloat and selling out Tarek. But I want Casey to kind of continue to be here and lead our rotation if we do end up selling on Tarek.
You talked about Tarek Skubal. Like I think that our management just has to really look themselves in the mirror and say like are we at all willing to fork over the money for him? And if the answer is no, then I think that like you said, even if we have Skubal, this team just doesn't quite have it this year. Like we don't have the guns. So unless you're somehow buying at the deadline, which is also very very unlikely, it just makes the most sense to capitalize on everything that you could get from Skubal. Now, if they're sitting there thinking, we are going to offer Tarek just hundreds of millions of dollars, and we think that we can have him long term, then yeah, I think it obviously you probably don't want to sell him then obviously. Like so I don't know. I feel like everything that we have heard and everything that we've seen, to your point on how Scott Harris and how this front office handles these contract extensions, I think there's no confidence for me that they're going to want to pony up the money. I think that's it's pretty blatant at this point. So if that's the case, if you're not going to pony it up, if you're not going to do much in the playoffs or even make the playoffs, right now as they sit, they have maybe a 20% chance of making the playoffs. So again, that could change, but as we sit right now, 20%, I think it just you have to sell Tarek Skubal. You have to go and get those 2, 3, 4 top 100 prospects, whatever you can, and cash in on hitting on Tarek in the draft, 14th round pick, whatever he was, had some awesome years. Go be great elsewhere and still get some value there. So yeah, I'm with you. I think best case scenario, they stay put with everyone else and just deal Tarek Skubal. I just don't know if we're going to be able to get it done. I mean, you look at Tigers execs of old, and they just absolutely have not been able to get trades that prospects that we want for trade packages. Looking at like the Verlander trade where we got literally a bag of peanuts and it's pretty much it. Like yeah, they just they haven't been able to get it done. I have very little confidence that, anything's going to change. But, if it does, more the merrier.
And I think just to play devil's advocate a little bit, if you do end up selling or buying, excuse me, because I agree, just because you make the internal decision, like, all right, we're gonna keep Tarek, we're gonna give him whatever he asked for. This team is not good enough just as is, like you mentioned with Tarek. So that means you have to buy. And so like if you look at like the different tools you have to buy, you kind of have a good amount in your war chest. I think you can offer a guy like Max Anderson who hasn't made his debut yet, but for whatever reason, I think he's more than deserving. He's kind of killing it down or was killing it down in the minors. I don't have his numbers in front of me at the moment. You have a guy like Hao Yu Lee who's still extremely young, and another team might look at him and say like, yeah, he could do something. I mean, I know he started really slow, but throughout the month of June, he had a 328 batting average with 3 home runs. So like Hao Yu Lee, now that he's kind of got his footing in the MLB, that could be like a plug and play now for a larger package if we wanted to include him. There's a number of guys down in the minors that we can include. So I think you have the war chest to go out and get someone, but you can't toe that line and be like, well, we're gonna keep Scooball, but we're gonna just run it back with this team. Even though, as I said, that's literally exactly what they did basically to come into this year. And when we all said like you can't do that, you can't just pick Scooball and run it back and not make so. They have the assets. They're gonna have to choose what to do, and we'll break it down. We'll do a full episode on it, at the end of July, so we can break it down even further. But I don't know, man. I don't think Dana doing anything. I hope they do a mini sell, just a one-person sell on Tarek.
We will see.
All right, let's wrap up the show then with Grit of the Week. As always, guys, Grit of the Week is brought to you by Pins and Aces, our favorite spot for all your golf apparel needs. Pins and Aces is golf bags, golf shirts, golf shoes, anything golf apparel that you need made in the US. It combines the fun aspects of design while also using good quality materials. Our listeners can get a 21% off discount at checkout at pinsandaces.com using promo code GRIT. That's promo code GRIT, GRIT, at pinsandaces.com. Thank you, Pins and Aces, for sponsoring Grit of the Week. Kick us off, Kyle. Grit of the Week. Who are you going to go with this week?
Yeah, dude. Going back to the well, man. Grit of the Week. K-Mac, Kevin McGonigle. We talked about him a ton on this show, rightfully so. Tigers rookie sensation, only 21 years old, and just announced that he is an All-Star in his first season. It's awesome. I think we broke it down so well already, but yeah, the first Tigers rookie to be named to the All-Star game in damn near 4 decades, right? So it's incredible, dude. Everything he's doing at his age, he he basically has the presence at bat of like a veteran 28, 29-year-old. Like he's so well ahead of his age, just doing a little bit of everything. He's obviously hitting for contact. He gets on base. He's pretty good playing shortstop and third base, two pretty difficult positions to play in the field. I broke it down. Third most valuable WAR among position players in the AL. This kid is doing everything. He's exactly what we needed. Finally, we're hitting on a prospect, and he was the number one prospect for a reason. He's already one of the better players in the league, and it's crazy to say it, just 21 years old. So yeah, Grit of the Week, man. Kevin McGonigle.
Definitely deserving. Someone probably, it was low-hanging fruit, but someone probably had to give him one. Like we said, youngest guy in the All-Star game, so he definitely deserves it. I'm going to go with my Grit of the Week. I was going to go with America for the 250th birthday. Obviously, this past weekend, depending when you listen to this, was the 4th of July. Shout out to America, 250th birthday. It's our personal best. We've never been older than this. I'm going to pivot, though, because I think as I was just sitting here and you were talking, I realized that a guy that I don't know if we actually, I'm sure we've given him 1 or 2, but I think he's quietly doing everything he can to help this team. And I briefly mentioned him during our breakdown of buy or sell. I'm going to give my Grit of the Week to Keter Montero. I think he has done everything and more that this team has needed from him. Just 26 years old. This year is a 2.7 WAR, 92 innings pitched, which is already pretty much tied for his innings pitched the last 2 years. We've used him in every different way. We've had him as a starter. We've had him as a long reliever. We've had him as a closer. He has done everything we've asked from him, and he's performed extremely well. So he has an ERA of 3.21, which is a career best for him. 18 games, 15 games started. He is, unfortunately, I think it's just the way that the rotation shakes out with guys like Flaherty, Scooball, Troy Melton. Kind of falls in the same category as Kiter there. But like when Flaherty came back, even though Kiter was legit one of our best starting pitchers, he was the one that was relegated to the to go to the bullpen and be kind of our long reliever. And I don't think he deserved that, but he took it in stride, came out and had a long relief and shut a game down last week. He's been so good for us. I hope he can kind of continues to do whatever we need him to do and not get upset that he kind of continues to be that one left out in the cold. But and he's like a reason why I feel comfortable if we had to move on from Tarek at the trade deadline, because you have a guy like him who has been rock solid this year. He's been really, really good. And I think he doesn't get enough flowers as he deserves. So my grid of the week's gonna go to Kader Montero.
Man, I love that, man. I'm so with you. You mentioned it, but 92 innings pitch is already more than last year. And still he sits just 33 earned runs, where last year he was at 44. So just an incredible improvement. His whip has gone down. It's below 1.97. So just an elite whip right now. That's walks plus hits per inning. So essentially, look at it. I think we've broken it down. But how many base runners are you giving up per inning? Less than one. It's stellar. It's everything you need. And he's like you mentioned, Swiss Army knife. You know, he could be a starter. He could be a long reliever. He can do a little bit of everything. So yeah, incredibly valuable. And still at just 26 years old, still got a lot of growing to do in a good way. Shout out Kader Montero. Shout out Kevin McGonigle. Shout out all of our boys, our all-stars, Dillon Dingler and Riley Greene as well. This season, it's not all doom and gloom. 10 games under 500, but there's still a lot of baseball left to go, and you never know what's going to happen the next month or so before the trade deadline. So we will continue to break it down. It's not over yet. We're going to keep saying let's go Tigers until we can't anymore. Until we're eliminated, man.
I mean, you look at last year, the Guardians thought like they were absolutely out. We had a 16, 17 game lead in the division, and we ended up coughing it up. So hey, why not us? Don't let these Tigers get hot. But okay, that's our show. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. You can find it with Kyle and I on Twitter at Kyle_Marino and at Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or on TikTok at Gridiron Report or on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1. You can also catch these full-length episodes on YouTube. We also have some YouTube shorts. We cut up some different parts of it to put on YouTube, so you can find us there at Gridiron Report. Finally, you can join the conversation next week by calling in to the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast. That phone number is 313-306-7939. If you like this episode, please take a moment, rate it 5 stars, leave us a review, follow us on all forms of social media. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Let's go Tigers.
A journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retired, Grit Iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on, blast beats, thundering loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report, where the stories are proud. Tune in, bring the heat, make your fandom a vow.